when you are in a long-distance relationship, it's said that you and your spouse are geographically isolated from one another, whether due to deployment or so in the military. A company moving you to a family somewhere far, the different reasons why people leave far away from each other. There's a belief that being in a long-distance relationship creates complications and can make a marriage even more challenging. Do you support actually long-distance relationship? We have two ladies here with us. They are actually engaged in a long-distance relationship. Their name Adetutu Amodu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, good morning.
And Ebun Fakolade, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Right, so this long-distance relationship matters. Who'd like to go first? Adetutu, let me start with you.
Okay.
You've been there 5 years. How in the world are you making it work?
Well, firstly, I would say I married my husband. He's been so very, very supportive, and the understanding level is top-notch. And it's been God anyway. Let me just put it that way. It's been God.
Let me ask you a question, because I feel extremely uncomfortable with the idea that I'm not going to get to see. I'm in a relationship with someone that I'm not seeing regularly. You know, like you have to be in communication with that person. How do you talk to him? How often do you talk to him? Is there a time zone difference? You've been at this for 5 years. What has been going on?
Well, the communication...
You talk every day?
We talk every day, like 5 times in a day.
Right.
Yes. It's been that easy for me. The communication part has been helping me.
Right.
Yes.
Let me come to you on the same question.
Yeah.
You've been 2 years, I believe, or going on 2 years?
Yeah, I've been married for 6.5 years.
Okay.
And in the long distance relationship for about 1.5 years.
How has it been? How have you been managing the difference? Especially you've actually experienced him being around.
I would say it's really been challenging.
Right.
You know, we've been together for 5 years, staying in the same house, on the same bed, and then even though I walked into it with all boldness that everything was going to be fine, I didn't know what I was getting into.
Right. Thank you. So now, just so it's good that we have both sides.
Yeah.
Now, in having your husband there, do you always have that issue, that fear of, okay, he's alone, he's there. How is he managing without me?
Okay, I'm also asking my question. This might sound the same question. How am I managing without him? So it's been a lot of challenge. It's not been easy, I would say that. And I would say one of the things that has helped is the communication. The time difference is huge. It's 7 hours away from me. And I mean, in terms of the time difference, and I have to sometimes stay awake all night. Right. You know, the midnight call thing.
Right.
I started doing it all over again.
Wow.
And then, you know, we just sort of found a way to balance things.
So I understand how you got there. I think you were married before. How did you get into the long distance? Well, did you know from day one that it's long distance, or you were in the same situation as her and you had to separate after 5 years of being together?
He actually traveled before we got married.
Okay.
He came back.
And
then he
went back again. Yeah. So that's how it's been 5 years apart.
Yes.
So how did you just accept it, or did you find a way around it? Because I personally, if someone were to tell me, or my husband were to wake me up one morning and say, okay, I might be away for a long time, I'm sure it will give me serious cause for concern. I don't know how you accepted it, and you know how did you just
at first I didn't accept, but looking at the benefits and everything, we sat down together, we talked about it, and I agreed.
Do you have kids?
No, not yet.
Okay,
like it feels like you'll be single.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like you're married.
You're a pretty attractive woman. Like you go out there. How do you deal with the attention you probably get from men?
So how does he deal with what might be, you know, with you being so pretty and alone? How does he deal with it?
Well, I think trust is the #1 fact about this long distance relationship. And the way I live my life, since I got married, I try as much as possible to reduce the way I go out, the way I do things, my freedom. And because he knows that the wife I have is not somebody that, yes, there is this loyalty from my home part. Like, I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize my marriage So he knows that.
But are you married?
I'm
because
married.
right from day one, you never lived with the person.
Well-
For me, the first few months of marriage was baptism because I understood how I need to adjust to him, how my realities have changed. Your reality hasn't changed. You're just living like you're still single.
And there's money coming from somewhere, from the abroad. That's the difference. The money is coming from the abroad.
Even before we got married, we've been together
Right.
like 7 years before the marriage.
Wow.
And he was there.
No, here in Nigeria.
Okay.
So we are so close.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, let me go ahead.
Okay,
Mariah.
for me, you have been,
Both
together.
ways.
Yeah. So what do you think? I know it's challenging.
Yeah.
But see, I love my husband. But sometimes I will not mind like a 2-week,
Hallelujah.
every day, same bed, same toilet, same bathroom. I beg. So, is there like a good part,
Of
this long distance?
That freedom that nobody's
that freedom.
stopping your life on certain things.
Okay, so in terms, because I've stopped cooking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
I eat out. I don't cook anymore.
Right.
So that stresses out. But with that being said, every day I miss him. And let me just stop there. It's emotional.
You get emotional. Yeah, I
I can
know.
understand. I only left my husband for a year and I almost went crazy. I tried to study.
It's not that I don't believe that I'm a good girl, but I don't
Yeah.
trust myself for 1 year without when you have been there. It's not. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, so
like you just do what you will be nothing.
So let
You
me
not
say,
be-
let me tell you something. Okay, so backstage, someone was asking me about sexual,
How do you arrange it?
yeah. So I'm like, he's like 70%, I'm like 85.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
So
you're
I'm on the I side. Yeah. So I struggled for like 6 months. The first 6 months I couldn't even sleep in my bed.
oh.
It was that bad. But later I was able to adjust, put myself into work. Now I'm like a workaholic and everybody's like, why is she so hardworking? Like, why does she put in extra hours? But I'm afraid to go home, to be alone, that sort of a thing. But in terms of us staying apart, I know that, okay, I probably have to be away from him for like 6 months. And I look forward to the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks that I'm probably going to spend with him. And I make full use of it. So from the last time I saw him, I like, get a hotel. I'm going to bring the house down, get a hotel. And it's like,
That's the excitement.
why exactly? So it's like, you've like bottled something in, it's just like Sprite, and then you open it. And then,
How often do you get to see your husband? I mean, or how often have you gotten to see him the 5 years you've been?
Well, he comes home like twice in a year. Yeah, he was around in October and he would be around in Easter.
And
So
how
you
long
look
does
forward
he
to
stay
that
for
meeting.
every visit?
But
Do you-
like a month.
truth be told,
Okay, he
are you
stays a
not
month.
thinking of arranging something so that you can be together? Is this
We're actually working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me come to you that are interviewing. Let me come to you. Let me come to you. In a situation, because life happens to people.
Yes.
Oh.
And I mean, let's not put them on the spot because
Ew.
can you handle if your husband says, you know what, I just got this $1 million job every year and I have to travel I have to go to Dubai, for example.
Knowing myself, I think myself will not be concerned. When I went to law school, I had to leave my husband. We're newly married. We'd never stayed close before, and it was my first reality of being separated from him, and it had to be for a whole year. So I'll be in school. We'll talk on the phone. We'll talk up to 6 times a day. We'll call and all that. It didn't make room enough for, because my roommates were advised that maybe because the way you got married, you don't understand what you're missing, and that was the truth. The moment I came back, we had a few meetings. It was like the honeymoon. So that meeting him every time, we will make ultimate total use of it. And for me, I thought, well, I could control myself, and I really could, but I was worried about him. Right. And for me, the experience now, built my trust in him.
Right.
The way he put himself together. It's important that you can control yourself. But I don't
to
want to
Tokwe.
find myself in that situation very quickly.
We know you can't handle it, but if life happens,
It's an Holy Spirit issue because I cannot trust the matter. Because the idea is, it's maybe when I was single and you knew that you're not allowed to have interpersonal relationships with a man, so it's different. You've had it. You now just go, as in, he traveled for 3 weeks, Murayo. Hey, that 3 weeks, it's not easy. So some people, for them, this our other room matter is a chore. It isn't for me. So I will be, I'll tell my husband, you know, say, you know, people are talking about relocating your family, and then you'll be in Nigeria. Say, I cannot trust myself. I'm just saying, because except I get like totally swallowed up in God and in that, and I know that there is God, but you know, there is body, and body is not firewood, and we cannot absorb ourselves.
Let me come to the family factor. Because some men have that insecurity with their wives being alone. So either they send their mother to you, or your sister, their sister is living with you, or you have that kind of,
Mariah,
you know, the people are monitoring you. So you can't, so as much as you feel like you're free, they still have a leash on you. Do you have that experience?
Oh gosh.
At all.
No.
I have one story. There's a lady that I met while I was pregnant. We were doing antenatal together in the hospital, and she was complaining bitterly that there's a car. Her husband lives in like Germany or those kind of European countries, and they usually give her a car to bring her to the hospital and take her back straight home. No freedom. She cannot go to the market. She doesn't go out. She has this, her third child. And the reason they didn't want her to do family planning, so that when the man comes again, she gets pregnant, that she feels she's too fine, she's going to go. The surprising thing is, once her husband comes, they are totally different. So they play out a different role.
Right.
But they feel like because the man is there, they don't need to be overprotective. The man is there. Yeah. But once he goes, our son is not around, you will turn to a prostitute. And so they are...
Let's take a break. We're going to continue this conversation. I would love to have because we have a relationship expert, because she needs to help us on how to manage. We'll bring her in a bit. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
So thanks for staying with us. Joining us is a relationship expert for Lasha Day. Welcome to the show, madam.
Good morning.
Good morning. So before you came on, we had, I think it was Tutu that stepped down. And she was talking about she's in a 5-year relationship with her husband. I mean, she's known her husband for about 7 years or so. And according to her, it is good, everything is going well. But in your view as an expert, what's the emotional drain people experience when they have, or is there even any emotional drain when you have this kind of experiences?
I think loneliness is one of the major problems.
Okay.
If you look at the ratio of the relationship that are successful with long distance relationship, it's very minute.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
A lot of people go through a lot of things, but they don't come out open. Imagine about a few weeks ago, a neighbor walked up to me and said, I have a crush on your husband. And we are staying together.
Wait, say that again. Somebody came to you and said they have a crush on your own husband.
Yes.
Wow, how bold.
So,
how bold.
But I like the fact that she was open. Once you can spit out such things, it means that you won't go further to express your emotions.
You digest that.
I understand where you're going.
So that she's forewarning you.
What about long distance, Abby?
Long distance, you are open to temptation.
Yeah, thank you.
The first thing I usually ask people who are going into long-term relationship is, do you have sexual integrity?
If you can vouch for yourself, can you vouch for the
that
other
question
person?
is a question that we would all answer and say yes. But because we have not been faced with temptation, God will not test us beyond our control.
Even when you are together, you are facing all kinds of temptation.
Yeah.
I remember when I got married, I've been married for 19 years now, and I was working in the bank, and I was transferred to Port Harcourt, Onitsha, Aba, to upgrade our system for year 2K compliant. And I remember there was this day I fell sick, and I was taken to the hospital. I met this handsome, lovely doctor. He's doing his job, but I was carried away with his touch, with his... But so nice. Because I'm able to manage my emotion, it's not everybody that can manage their emotion. I was carried away thinking, this guy is so handsome.
But if he wasn't interested, what if he was interested? You see, that's something we're not tempted. You might admire someone. You might find someone that fits perfectly into your spec. For those that are not so lucky that they did not marry their spec, they now see somebody that fits to their spec, they now has interest in them, then the man is not around.
That's serious temptation. And it can lead to commotion.
Okay, so, go ahead, Mariam.
Okay. So, okay, like the ladies had already spoken, everyone, so they actually get to meet their husbands, occasionally. They come for like a month or so. Is that enough, to make up for the time lost? And as she was saying, that she brings the house down. Is there a method to do all that you can and then like bank it? You bank it and use it up until the next visit.
The truth of the matter is that long distance relationship it comes with a lot of challenges. For those that cannot manage their emotions properly, there's what we call adaptability quotient. Is being able to be flexible, to be able to accept the change, the reality on ground, and move on. But a lot of people don't have that skill.
Which is what causes the breakup.
That is it.
I want to ask Ebu a question because you see, let's face reality. If you hear today and your husband confesses that, I'm sorry, darling, I cheated. I just met a lady and it happened and I'm not able to cope. How would you deal with it?
Okay, so I'll forgive him. I've had this conversation with someone, and what I told the person is, until you are in someone's shoes, you can't really judge them. Yes. And until I was close to, the temptation was so bad that I was like, okay, I can actually just do this thing just once and just, you won't know, nobody will know. Yeah. And, sometimes you hear like, oh, a woman can keep something in her heart to her grave, and then nobody knows. And until I got to that point, that was when I felt like, okay, so I can actually have a reason to cheat. And I felt the weight of the word cheating. And I didn't take it lightly. I felt like, okay, so we are so quick to judge people. Right. And I said, I would actually forgive him if he actually cheated on me.
But let me come to the expert here, because they say that women get really horny from like 40 and above. That's their highest peak sexually. Before then, they might not really be interested. So do you believe there's a safe zone for you to have a long distance relationship, maybe from that 25 to maybe 35, where your libido is not that high? So then you can actually manage your long distance. But once you are reaching that point of 40, do you agree, or do you think it doesn't really matter, regardless of the age, avoid long distance relationship?
It has to do with individuals. Okay. I've met a lot of women that even after 40, their libido is still very low. Right. And I've met some people that after 50, their libido is like, what has happened to me? So it really depends on individuals.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you that, okay, Muriel asked the question, if it happened, all of us are in marriages that were close to our spouses, but if it happened that we had to have this discussion, maybe because of work or for better life, we had to be separated, what are the questions that, we'll be asking, and the issues that we'll be discussing, the factors to consider before you say, okay, this is a safe thing to do?
Number one, you need to ask yourself, have I recognized my own emotion and been able to manage the emotion? Emotional quotient has to do with you being able to recognize your emotion and manage it, and recognize other people's emotion and being able to manage it appropriately. Now, if you can't recognize or manage your own emotion, how will you manage someone else?
For me, that sounds, all fine and good, but some of them have been, it just happened. One day we're living together and there's no question of living apart, and then something happens. So you don't really have like the luxury of time to sit down and talk to each other about what do we do, how do we do it. But those challenges come up. So is there a different way to handle, okay, like she brought up the cheating now. Is it
do we have a conversation before?
No, that's not even what I'm saying. Is it because she says also she understands what it feels like? Could cheating be not such a grave sin if you're in a long-distance relationship as compared to people that live together? Do you understand? After all,
excuse cheating.
Yes, can we sort of excuse cheating or understand it in a long-distance relationship? And then
what's the essence of the marriage? Yeah. For me, if you are to ask me, will I allow my husband? No, is the answer.
Allow yourself.
Yeah, that's you, but
you allow yourself.
Sorry,
because I've been able to manage, being able to understand and recognize my own emotions.
Okay, see, I want us to break it down further, because there are people at home right now faced with that decision, which was an important question she asked. What kind of conversation should I have with my spouse at this moment that
If you
he's
want to
traveling?
take such
He said, yeah, he has to go. So and I'm like, let me start with
Can I
you
say
because you've probably had that
something?
conversation.
Okay, so
what are
the
the
thing
terms
is,
of engagement?
you can never be fully prepared. You can never have all of the conversations.
Right.
And even though we talked about it for like a year, we were talking and, you know, agreeing on this and that, but you can't be fully prepared. Trust me. I am actually the strong type, you know. If you're, oh, okay, she'll be fine. In this case, I'm actually so weak, and it's the strong one.
Oh, let me take Olabisi. Olabisi, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
With regard to this topic you are discussing, I want to give my view as a Christian. The Bible warns us that we should not defraud one another, and that we are allowed to defraud one another is if there is consent to go into fasting and prayer. And that even for fasting and prayer, it should not be for a long time. Let the tempter tempt you. I think God knows the way we are wired. He has wired us with sexual desire. And He's trying to warn us that we should not stay away from each other for a long period. That even in the case of prayer and fasting, it should be with consent, and not for a long time. Let the tempter tempt you. This is the book of Corinthians. So I don't know why we try to always believe that we are stronger than what we have been made.
Thank you very much.
Some people cannot escape it. I was separated for 6 months. Medical reasons. There's nothing prepared us for it. So some people just have to live that life. You must have that conversation. Whether you're together or not, you just have it continuously.
Even when you're together, people still cheat.
Anything can happen.
Exactly. No, but in our own case, it was more like it was medical.
I went in for the check in the morning and I said I'll be back. I even left my meal. That, okay, I'll continue this meal, just keep it for me. And I never came back to have it until 6 months.
FaceTime. You can do a lot of things through
Okay, so
FaceTime.
Are you encouraging
a lot of
people,
that,
you know, dodge from sexual relationship because I'm fasting? You know, I was in a program recently and somebody asked from the audience that, is it good? We redeem, we do 50 days fast. How are we going to manage? I said, the fasting is between when?
During the
morning, evening.
So we break by 6 p.m. That's it.
Please, I want to ask you.
That's the way we do our own. Don't worry. That's the way we do our own. So I wanted to ask you. Sorry, Tope. Moral mentioned FaceTime. Some people manage long distance relationships doing FaceTime, sending nude pictures to their spouses. How safe? Because once in the newsroom, I had this conversation with some of our news reporters that, you know, how do you do these things? And is it safe? So how safe is it? And what's your advice for
It's not safe. You know, it leads to a lot of things. It leads to masturbation. And, you know, at some point when you guys come together, you won't be able to cope.
Anymore.
Because the man will be, you know, used to that life. The lady too will be used to. So even if I'm not okay and you say, okay, let's have it, and don't worry, I'm tired. Then you go masturbating and
right. So it's good not to start it because
this even brings to mind.
Let me take this call from Cameroon.
Yes, I am.
Dennis, how are you doing? Go ahead, please.
Very well, good first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, I wanted to contribute to the program. Yes, actually, I am married. I dated my husband for 7 years. It was in the sixth year, actually. It was the 7th year we got married. And he's currently working in Cameroon. I just joined him recently. But it was a long-distance relationship. First of all, it has to be built on trust. That's the only way it can work. And knowing that, my husband first of all told me that this is what I want from you. I want to get married to you. Then I didn't understand what he was saying. But I knew the kind of man I was going to get married to. A lot of times, the reason why I feel a lot of women actually misbehave is because they don't have the trust in themselves, one. Yeah. Then number two, the man honestly has to trust himself. So my husband told me last time he came around that everyone is asking for his term. As in, I'm like, okay, I didn't have a problem with it. We spoke about it. He told me that she wanted to have a meeting with him. I said, go for it. And when she went, she said this is what she wanted from him. She wanted his term, that she needed a child, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was the end. He said, he looked at her in her face and was like, what is this?
Wow.
You know, but most importantly, like I was saying, a long relationship is very important.
We have to go on a quick break. We have to go on a quick break. Thank you very much, Benny, for sharing your story. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation, take some tweets and calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's take some tweets, please.
Yes, so Stephen Odogu says, it is not good for both parties because how can I marry a woman and leave her and travel? Who will look after her sexual needs? Odusoya Olubukola says, I can't do long-distance relationship. If he's doing, I would go with him. If it is forfeiting my career in Nigeria, that's fine. These ladies are trying. Kudos to them. Tata Foje says, some couples are living together but behave as if they are in a long-distance relationship. Exactly. It's not about being together. Andrew in Street House says, Oto, talk where you don't do. Talk where you does the ask pertinent questions.
Because everybody keeps thinking it's just about the sexual needs, but the emotional needs, you know, someone to talk to, someone you can call immediately, like if there's you get a sad news, you can call that person immediately. If you're abroad,
makes life easy now.
The time. You can want to talk to somebody and that person is sleeping.
There, right?
He won't wake up.
Yeah.
But if it is someone within the country, there's that emotional need of someone that will just hold you.
See, my worry in this long distance is, for me, I think it's just, for me, it's the worry is on the men's side. Because I feel like we women, we are somewhat responsible. We have a way of holding ourselves.
You'll be surprised.
But some men, maybe not, I'm just generalizing.
Exactly.
I've not met them. A lot of men, because there was like one of the guys I dated before I met my husband, he told me that that he had a girlfriend in school and she's in the US. She had a daughter for him. So for me, it was ex. So he was now in Nigeria. You know, we're working together and we're dating until I found out that he was actually
married.
Maybe not married, but substantive. I came to his house and I saw the lady in his room, not like a guest, like what kind of all her clothes, all her suitcases from US, and the daughter was there running around, daddy, and I'm wondering, and I just looked in the window, like, oh sugar, I have been screwed. That was bad. So how, man, obviously, because he was using me as a stopgap at the time. I mean, of course, I wasn't having sex with him, please. But the point is that I was there. But do you trust your husband to the point where you know that nothing, when he gets to that point, that he can hold himself?
Yeah, I trust him so much. So he waited for me for a very long time. And it's, I think based on how far we've come, I can say, that I really trust him so much. And I know he's not the kind of person that can...
Right.
Easily.
To even hurt a fly. I know how emotional he is.
We're talking about...
So I really trust
let me take a quick call and I'll come to Miriam. David, are you there from Benue State?
Hello?
Hi, David. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes. And this long-distance relationship of a thing, I feel that I don't support it because I feel that the woman, when she's in need of fulfilling her sexual desires, she will not be able to return to her husband and it can result in cheating. And you now see that at the end of the day, they think dating in marriage and you see many divorces happening. So I'm not in support of this long-distance relationship. And I'm calling again to discuss on a newspaper.
No, we can't go back to the papers. We've moved. We've passed newspapers. Thank you very much.
I was going to share a story of because you had a relationship with your husband and he waited, so you trust him.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has a relationship with her husband and she knew her husband couldn't wait. So she said that for her own peace of mind, she had that discussion with her husband that, boy, I know you might cheat. It is allowed. Protect yourself. And don't start calling me and acting as if you've seen me with a guy and you're worried. They had a conversation because she knew the kind of person she was in a relationship with. So and for her, it gave her a lot of peace that she could deal. Is okay. He will protect himself. He will not put me at risk. That's the agreement.
So you can actually. So let me come back to you, Doc. So you can actually have that kind of conversation with your husband, like especially when you know the kind of man you're married to.
But the truth of the matter is, such conversations normally do not come up.
Right.
It's just once it doesn't come up.
I think
realistic
the way our men are wired, they won't discuss such a thing.
Okay, I have discussed it with my husband and I've told him if you ever go outside the country, you must have marry the person. I've said it to my husband, and I think he understands it clearly. I can't stand cheating. I would not excuse it.
To different countries. He won't be
then he knows that he cannot marry because he cannot be going up and down. He cannot marry more than 4. It's limited polygamy, so he cannot. It's not an option for him. But if he must live in one country and he gets to that point and he says, okay, you must do, just let me know on time and marry the person, because I don't understand this, cheating thing.
Allowed.
I don't understand it.
Mariam, let me let you
Good. For me, it's a lot more than sexual.
Yeah.
There's emotional and loneliness. But so what is he allowed to tell you? Okay, like the last caller called, the previous caller actually says her husband told her this. I mean, when I'm in a long distance relationship, do I really want to know who's asking you out and who's not asking you out, Do you want to have that sort of conversation with your husband, or do you want to tell him, this is what I'm doing?
Just keep it to yourself, I don't want to know.
Yes.
I remember when I was in Port Harcourt and I was having this experience. I called my husband and talked to him. I said, I'm having this feeling. He said, it's normal, but how did you handle the problem? So not having the feeling is not a problem. Are you able to manage the feeling? Because I didn't show to the doctor that I was like, but I was able to manage my emotion and my feelings.
How do you do that?
Yes, you can have this conversation.
Do you have that kind of conversation?
Yeah, yes, because
You have toasters.
I do, really. And I always tell him, most of the time, I would just laugh about it like, these people, they are not serious. They don't know you're after one. We just, laugh about it and, And I would say that between the time that we were married, staying together, and the time we were away, the temptation that I faced, comparing both, it was much more when it was away, because it was more like it was written on my forehead like she's available. I don't know what happened. But I just meet people. I met someone that told me that, okay, he wants to take me to Netherlands, all expense on me. I'm like,
I think what I think for me, I'm not a psychologist. What I think is different is that there's this confidence you have when your husband is over there. There's this freedom, sense of freedom.
That,
and that thing exudes confidence. Makes you like, I am free.
They find you more attractive.
Seriously, I want this to know.
Me, I agree with Mariam. Sometimes I need like a 2 weeks break. It's not just travel. Just
have a child.
Yes, I do.
So how is it? When you co-parent is different from when you have to become a single parent all of a sudden. So how do you cope?
Okay, so my son is with him. So I'm alone here. And
you're lucky.
Yeah, no, not really. Because I feel like if he was with me here, it would have been easier for me to cope than, it felt like I lost both of them. Yeah. So and he would say to me, we are not dead now. That kind of thing, like we're alive, So one of the things is, like, you were saying FaceTime. I do a lot of video calls. In fact, my son does not know any other thing. If I call him on audio, like, I can't see your face. That kind of a thing. So we do a lot of video calls. So part time, if he calls me on video, I pick almost immediately. So if I call him on video, he picks. So we can see the background. So we trust, that helps us to trust each other because, and even the bringing up the child, I talk to my son every day. I tell him I need you to do this. Sometimes I read storybooks to him. Wow. I help him out with his homeworks. I do all of that. So I had to put in a lot of extra effort using,
Okay, we have to round up. I know, unfortunately, I need to have to step down because we don't have enough space for everybody. And I wanted the doctor to come in, but so we'll get on some of our stories on Twitter and put it on social media for us so that people learn from her own experience too. But we have to round up. I'd like you to round up. What would you say to a lot of people out there that are going through this situation where their spouse, either male or female, is about to relocate to another country? How would you advise them to handle the situation?
I think they should ask themselves a lot of questions like, am I a good manager of my emotion? Can I cope? Then the issue of trust is key. Do I trust this person? Does my spouse trust
And
me?
if you don't trust the person,
choose to trust.
Wait, So, but if there are people that don't. Okay, you can choose to
you
trust.
can choose to trust, even in your relationship that you are there. You don't. The person doesn't need to earn it.
Trust
you
can be
give
earned.
that person.
No,
you choose to give the person and let him know I've chosen to trust you.
Yeah.
Don't betray my trust.
What happens when this
But
person
we should also
betrays
prepare our
his
mind to be betrayed.
trust? Exactly.
Well, the thing is, my mind is not prepared
for
to be
that.
betrayed. But
Right.
like she said, I chose to trust them. And I told myself I wouldn't kill myself over anything. So
Right. All right.
I just live my life.
Thank you, ladies, for coming.
Yeah.
I
Thank
need
you.
to thank you also. She had to step down. That's all we can take on the show. I hope you learned as much as we did. Again, if you would like to be on our live audience show next week, Wednesday, please come early. We can only do 30, so people don't get too squashed up. Come early so you can get a seat. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.